What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Critical Overlord here. We're going to be talking about a few different horror topics in this video here today. We'll be talking about Scream 7. We'll be talking about the Until Dawn trailer that came out last week. We'll be talking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And we'll be talking about Robert Eggers' next film. So starting off here with Scream 7, Mason Gooding recently chatted with Entertainment Tonight about Scream 7 while promoting Hard Eyes. The casting of Jasmine Savoy Brown, as it relates to myself, was unknowingly basically being granted a sister. So he's going over him and Jasmine returning and the Meeks twins. He also has some comments about Neve. He said, I check in with her all the time. I feel like being able to step into a character that has been inundated with so much love on set and in general has allowed Jasmine and I to fall into a rhetoric that's super comfortable for us, whether it's like talking on a scene or decisions made. Ultimately, I owe to her how lovely she is and how encompassing it is. He also said this about Neve Campbell. He called her mother at one point. He said, I feel like that's the godmother of the genre that we are so lucky to appropriate in Hard Eyes, which is the idea of marrying two different tones, obviously with the over-encompassing one being a more horrific and more high-octane experience that she still to this day has always handled with a level of ease and care and stoicism that's made each iteration of her character, and I can say, all of her work. Now, to me and many of you who DM'd me after this interview came out, it sounds like he's saying a lot of nothing and doing his best to avoid saying things he's not supposed to be saying. I would hope that he has a scene with Neve in this film because there's so many people already, myself included, who are not completely sold on the relationship between Sydney and the Meekses. There has to be something there. There's no way Sydney went all of this time without meeting Martha's kids. I mean, if she did, she did. But I just find it hard to believe that she has nothing to do with Chad and Mindy at all whatsoever. Not that they have a long-lasting relationship, but I would hope there's something in here dialogue-wise, whether it be physical contact, that will establish she knew who they were, they knew who she was. Maybe she raised them a bit when they were younger, babysat them a few times, something like that. Maybe Martha brought them over to her house when she was younger or they were younger. There's so many different ways you can kind of make that relationship a thing before trying to have them on screen engaging with one another and we're just completely out of the loop because it's going to be a bit off-putting because they didn't interact that much in 5 or 6. Well, definitely not 6 because Sydney wasn't in 6. So we'll see what comes of that. But those are some nice comments from him about Neve, and I don't really think that Chad is going to have the biggest role in this film. I personally think he's going to bite the dust in the opening. That's just me. But let's talk about the Until Dawn trailer. The Until Dawn trailer arrived last week, and it looks like a good time. More importantly, the trailer showed off a few of the rumors I've talked about related to this film, including the multiple threats that the characters will be facing in this death loop. So many things have been getting confirmed that I've been talking about on my channel recently when it comes to Until Dawn. We got a shot of the slasher character I mentioned, which is, of course, a callback to Josh. We got the witch. We got to look at the Wendigo and a few other creatures like that tall god-like being featured in the trailer that I was tipped off about, but I just chose to ignore it and see if it would show up in the trailer, and sure enough, it did. Also, it looks like Hill will not be a psychiatrist, as I shared a few weeks ago. It's important to remember that Hill was just a piece of Josh's imagination anyway. Correct me if I'm wrong. So this iteration of Hill is quite real and plays a big part in this story. That's all I will say. You take from that what you will, but let me know what you guys thought about the trailer down in the comment section below. Again, diehard gamers, I'm not surprised that they aren't vibing with this. But the general horror audience, I think they have crafted a film that is going to appeal to them, and that's what they're mostly striving for. Could they have done that by staying true to the source material? Absolutely. There's no reason why you couldn't stay true to the source material. People will argue, oh, well, just go play the video game. That's just it. I did it because you've played the video game, and so many others have played the video game that billions of people across the earth have also played said game. No, absolutely not. You could have appealed to so many people by still staying true to the game. You're not going to change my mind on that. If you think that's a boring way to adapt it, I get it, but at the same time, it could have worked. You just didn't bother to try. Now let's talk about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So Sarah Michelle Gellar had this to say recently to Who magazine when it comes to a revival on Buffy. She just started talking about this more due to her participation in the Dexter prequel. And she said, I think that they will get someone younger if she does come back. I will share my thoughts on that, because she also started talking about how she thinks she needs plastic surgery, which I don't agree with. She said, but if people think that I can still save the world and kick butt, I'm okay with that. I'm happy with how we ended things with Buffy. I love playing her and I feel proud of what she stood for, what she still stands for. She wasn't just the girlfriend or the token female, all things we take for granted in film and television now. I feel like Buffy was part of that positive change. At one point, she started talking about how Buffy probably is retired from slaying or something along those lines, and how she thinks she needs all this work done because she's not as young as she used to be. People don't want that. We don't want to recast Buffy. If you think they're going to get someone younger, I hope you don't mean to recast Buffy, because we don't want that. What most people who are in the fandom would prefer is that they just revive the universe, work you into it in some capacity. I'm not saying do it out of the gate, but that is likely the route that they would go anyway, to try to appeal to not only the diehard fans who grew up with the show, but people who are familiar with the name Sarah Michelle Gellar and maybe have seen some of your more recent work. And then they start to tune in, and then they start to shift away from Buffy again. And now we get the younger generation of Slayers and all this stuff that will lead on the show. I prefer them to just lean on the younger talent and appeal to your audience with a supernatural show that includes all the same qualities as the original Buffy show, because the supernatural genre is quite popular. If you can appeal to a wide audience that you have a supernatural show that's coming to Disney Plus, or wherever it goes, and it's in the Buffyverse, I think that's enough. I don't think you need to lean on Sarah Michelle Gellar. Obviously, that's probably the route they will take because it's safest, probably the surefire way to ensure it's a success. But I think that the Buffy fans, we're going to show up for the Buffyverse. I think that's really what you need to lean on, and then work Buffy back into the narrative. Don't just lean on Buffy. Let us see a new Slayer or a group of Slayers rise up. Talk about the consequences of what happened from Willow's spell. Come up with a narrative like that, which Kendara Blake, again, handled quite well in her series of books. Shout out to you if you're listening. But let's talk about Robert Eggers' next feature film. So it looks like Robert Eggers is giving us another creature film, as the Hollywood Reporter just put out a report on this. It says, after tackling vampires with Nosferatu, filmmaker Robert Eggers is taking on another horror creature genre in his own imitable style. Eggers has co-written Werewolf, a werewolf horror project that he will direct as his next feature. It says Focus Features, Universal's art house division, which released and financed Nosferatu, is back in business with the filmmaker for Werewolf. The company has dated the thriller for a North America release date on Christmas Day 2026. The parties are hoping for more holiday greetings, as Nosferatu was also released on Christmas Day and went on to become an improbable hit. Eggers wrote Werewolf with a co-writer. It says here, while details are scarce, sources say the story is set in 13th century England. The script also features dialogue that was true to the time period and has translations and annotations for those uninitiated in Old English. Initially, Eggers was planning on shooting the feature in black and white, but that is no longer the case. I have yet to see Nosferatu. I still have to check that out. But with the critical acclaim that has gotten, and his brilliance when it comes to The Witch, what he did with The Lighthouse, I say go ahead and let him do whatever he wants. There are certain filmmakers right now who have the eyes of all horror fans. Robert Eggers is one of them. I cannot wait to see what he does with this film. If you are someone who has checked out Nosferatu, let me know down in the comment section below what your favorite scene was in the film. What were your thoughts on Nosferatu? Because I still have yet to check that out. I have to check that out. I have to check out The Substance too still. But let me know what you guys think about all this down in the comment section below. If you haven't already, of course, make sure you go ahead and subscribe, turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. In the description, I'll have links to all my social media accounts. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can message me there, of course. Let me know if there are any movies, news, or reviews you would like me to cover in the future. And with all that in mind, guys, I will see you in the next video.